So how does a company go from being a total punchline to the world's third largest automaker? Seriously, this is the story of Hyundai, and it's a wild ride of crazy ambition, spectacular failure, and one of the most incredible turnarounds in business history.
And it all really starts with this one idea from its founder, Chung Ju-yung. This isn't just some nice-sounding quote. This was the blueprint. For him, building cars wasn't just about bending metal, it was about nation building. It was about pumping life into a country that was trying to rebuild itself from the ground up.
Now the founder, Chung Ju-yung, he wasn't born into this, not by a long shot. He was the son of a poor farmer in what's now North Korea. So the question is, how on earth did he pull this off? How did he build a global giant from basically nothing?
Well, to really get it, you have to go back to the beginning. Chung Ju-yung actually ran away from home 3 times to escape that life before he finally made it to Seoul. He did whatever he could. He was a delivery boy, a dock worker, and then eventually he managed to get his own little auto repair shop. And that experience right there, that planted the seed for everything that was to come. You see, before Hyundai was about cars, it was about construction. The company started back in 1947, not as an automaker, but as an engineering firm, literally rebuilding South Korea's roads and bridges. It wasn't until 20 years later that the founder decided, hey, we should put cars on the roads we're building. And just like that, the Hyundai Motor Company was born. And by 1975, they'd launched the Pony.
So with that ambition, they decided to make a huge bet. In the 1980s, Hyundai decided to go after the toughest market in the world, the United States. This was their big gamble. And man, it started off with this incredible, meteoric rise, and then an even more spectacular crash.
Get this, in its very first year in America, Hyundai sold more than 168,000 XL sedans. I mean, that wasn't just a success, it was a record. The best-selling first year for any import brand ever. For under $5,000, Americans just couldn't get enough. For a hot second, it looked like Hyundai was completely unstoppable.
Yeah, but that whole success story, it was built on a house of cards. They cut so many corners on cost that the quality was just awful. The cars were terribly unreliable. And pretty soon, Hyundai became a national joke. Late-night hosts were turning its name into an acronym. Hope you understand nothing's drivable and inexpensive. Ouch. Sales tanked, and the brand was pretty much left for dead.
So, what do you do when your reputation is completely toast? Well, you make a promise so insane, so audacious, that people have to pay attention. At the time, your standard car warranty was 3 years, 36,000 miles. Hyundai didn't just match that, they tripled it. A 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. This wasn't just a gimmick. This was a message to everyone, including themselves, that things were about to change, big time.
See, that warranty wasn't a marketing tool. It was an internal weapon. The founder's son, Chung Ju-yung, knew that if the quality didn't get radically better and fast, the warranty claims would literally bankrupt the company. So he used that promise to force a painful top-to-bottom revolution in how they built their cars. And this is how hands-on it got. The guy in charge, the son of the founder, was walking the factory floors himself with a marker. He would physically circle mistakes on the car bodies and demand they get fixed right then and there. He created this culture where a single defect was a massive failure. It was a relentless, all-out war for survival. So, did it work? Well, in the early 90s, Hyundai was at the absolute bottom of the JD Power Quality rankings, dead last. But by 2004, just 6 years after they rolled out that insane warranty, they shot up to second place, right behind Lexus. From a punchline to the podium, it's one of the fastest, most dramatic turnarounds in the history of the industry. This kind of go-for-broke thinking is just baked into the company's DNA. I mean, for their very first car, they hired the same guy who designed the DeLorean. The founder once got a huge contract to build ships by just showing a picture on a banknote before he even had a shipyard. And today's super popular Ioniq 5, the design is basically a modern take on a concept car they made almost 50 years ago. And that same bold DNA is still there today. Hyundai has become a master at taking big problems, like new regulations or shifts in the market, and flipping them into a strategic advantage. They don't just sit back and react, they go on the attack. Okay, check this out. In 2022, a new U.S. law, the Inflation Reduction Act, passed, and overnight, it disqualified all of their electric cars from getting tax credits. This was a huge blow. So what did they do? Just 2 months later, they broke ground on a massive new factory in Georgia. And less than 2 years after that, the first American-built Ioniq 5 rolled off the line.
They turned a crisis into a massive advantage faster than anyone believed was possible.
This speed is all part of a much bigger shift. Today, the company's third-generation leadership doesn't even call Hyundai a car company anymore. Their new vision is to be a smart mobility solutions provider. And what that really means is they are betting big on the future. Electric vehicles, sure, but also robotics. They bought Boston Dynamics, hydrogen power, and artificial intelligence in their factories.
So what's the game plan to not just survive the next decade, but to actually lead it? Well, it really boils down to 5 core strategic pillars.
First, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're doing everything from EVs to hydrogen to hybrids. They're also pushing to be the leader in hydrogen, especially for big trucks. They're putting those Boston Dynamics robots to work building cars. They're pouring over $21 billion into their US supply chain. And maybe most important of all, they control their own destiny by making everything themselves, from their own steel to their own batteries. It's a huge strategic advantage that protects them from all the supply chain chaos that hurts their competitors.
So when you really look at the whole story, it becomes pretty clear. Hyundai's greatest strength was never just its steel or its factories. It's always been its ability to take a punch, learn from it, and come back stronger and faster than ever before. Their response to failure became their greatest weapon. And that just leaves one question, right? What's the next great test going to be?